What's going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the channel here, where it is time for the big one. Yes, we've made it to another season. It is time for the Super Rugby final. And of course, as we've done all season long, we're going to be previewing this big game between the Crusaders and the Lions. Will be coming to us from Christchurch. AMI Stadium is the venue. And it is happening this Saturday night, New Zealand time. We're open for a cracker, and we're going to be joined by some guests, as we have been all final series long, to talk about what we think is going to happen and ultimately give you our tip to who is going to win the title for 2018. But of course, like we're doing all season long as well, the SuperBru leagues are in their last stages. Of course, the one game yet to go, so if you're close to your biggest rival, now's the time to make that big call. Let's check out what the tables look like and who is looking in pole position to take out those big crowns at the end of the season. Now, of course, we all know who the real winner is, and that is me, because I've got the yellow cap week in, week out, every single day. But on the SuperBru leaderboards, there is one man who's pretty much sewing up that top spot for 2018. And well, it was the DrivingMaul who did it for the most of the season, but he has gone to second after the quarterfinals, and then a great round from our nut 07. You can see the leaderboard right now. Yellow cap winner when you're in a tense battle for top spot. What a time to perform. What a time to pull out all the stops. Our nut had a great round. He picked up margin points. He picked up the bonus points for getting within the margin the closest. He got everything. And he cleaned up, I think, the most clutch round of all SuperBru I have ever seen. The DrivingMaul sits over 3 points behind our nut 07. And with one game to go, you would have to say it's going to be a big stuff up from our nut if he does not pull this one home from here. DrivingMaul, as we said, sits second. Owen Davis sitting in third. Only, what is that? 0.3 of a point or so behind Paul from the DrivingMaul. And then we have a Smarty Hodless fan as well, right there. 3 crowns won, sitting a further just under a point behind in fifth. So it is all there, all for the taking. We could see a big mix-up for the top 5 at the end of the grand final. Who else has been moving? Let's go down the rest of the list and see. Not too much movement. B Commentary up 5 spots. Quite a big movement for this time of the season. A few ups and downs. Snooze ZA going down 5 as well. Bok up 5, and NZ Rugby Fan 460. Christian, it looks like, up 5 as well. Into the high 30s, 31st spot for him, up 5. That's a good little jump from those two. A Bulldozer is the one to really lose out, going down 7 spots. That is a big drop. And Brett Hartley, well, he's making that resurgent return up the leaderboard, up to 34th now, up another 3 spots. Well done, Brett. 1 game to go, and I can very comfortably say you've done very well this season, son, and you can do well and easily beating my rubbish picks from 2018. Mr. Big went down 6. Going further down, I moved up 1. Just 1 into 42nd. Woo! Big deal. Still in a position where I could topple a couple of people if they forget to make their picks. Nates, I'm looking at you. Don't make a pick for the last round, man. Just let me try and get into the top 40 would be really nice. Aside from that, hopefully, I can get something out of this last game. The rest of the leaderboard, a lot of movement around the 40s here because we all suck. Let's be completely fair. And then the Wooden Spooner, Musty 183, down in 58th, picking up the piece of kitchen cookware. And further down the leaderboard, there we go, is the rest of the players. Okay, that is your predictor league. It's a big battle at the top, but it's a fantasy league doing the same. Let's have a look. No change here, folks. Sidiki Toilet Action still sitting number 1 with 5,066 points and 117 tries as well. Very good side. Grant Harmon's side is sitting in second with 4,985. The Infallible Mills doing very well. B Coventry, man, we just spoke about moving up nicely in the Predictor League. His Giant Philanthropists are doing very well as well. Sitting in third, 4,982 points. Really could attack second. And I mean, a really, really good round could see him maybe have a go at first, but it's going to take an absolute stunner that someone has got where no one else has. MFC of host Blues, always a threat, but down on 4,959, seems like his season may have to settle for fourth. We have the yellow cap winner. Well done to Johan M. 123's exquisite kudos, who pick up the yellow cap and sit nicely poised to attack into that top 5 as well. Let's move down to the peasants, further down the leaderboard, where my team is as well. A few movements here in the high teens and into the 20s. There's a lot of teams up 4, down 2, up 3, down 4, all over the place down here. It's not till we get to 35th where my All Flakes, as I mentioned, hasn't been edited since round 2, sit in 35th, down 1 spot. But I can take 1 out of 2 off Brent, can't I? Because Brett down there in 37th is Western Sharks, not doing too well on 3,660. Further moving on down leaderboard, we have our wooden spoon winner at the bottom. Yeah, Blues for days. Summing up the Blues season. But there it is. That is the SuperBru leaderboards coming into the grand final of Super Rugby. Last chance. If you're right next to someone you want to beat, make sure you make your pick or your team a goodie for this last round. Let's get into what we're really here. It is the grand final preview. Cannot wait for this one. Let's get into it. First things first, before we get into the match, let's meet the guests we're going to be having for today's show. First off, the rank. We're going to be having the DrivingMaul back on the preview.
Hello Steve, thanks for having me back on the show. Really looking forward to talking about the Super Rugby final. So cheers and let's go on with it.
And joining him will be Brett Hartley.
How's it going, guys? Brett Hartley here. Cornflake, for some reason, has decided to bring me back for another week. I'm not sure why he'd want my predictions on this, but I think still just because he's struggling in SuperBru a bit, so he can get my picks in. Just got that out of the way quickly so I can move on to why he actually got me here, and it's previewing the Super Rugby final.
Okay, this is it, folks. This is the big one. This is the be-all, the end-all, the finish, the final say of Super Rugby 2018. The Crusaders from Canterbury, Christchurch in New Zealand, up against the Lions, Johannesburg, South Africa, other side of the world, travelling here to New Zealand to face the top of the table Crusaders. And to be fair, it is against the second-placed Lions as well. I mean, they are the guys that finished second in the conference system as well as the second-best conference leader. So cliche, stats, everything all into the window. Let's talk about the real thing here. Crusaders, Lions, one big game, one big test. I mean, so many things can talk about this game. I'll go last. I'll let the guests, as always, go first. So really, guys, let me have it. Big game, biggest of the season. Who's got your number?
So, yeah, the Crusaders, what are they going to do? Well, probably what they've done all season, which is be clinical, have a solid defence, and basically give the forwards, give Rich Moanga his armchair ride, so he can run the show and then prey off the opposition mistakes. I think it's going to probably be more talking about what the Lions can do really, rather than what the Crusaders can do. Yet they've not been flashy on the whole, but they use all their backs. If we look at some of the stats from the semi-final, all of the backs ran between something like 48 and 60-something metres. So that was across Moanga, Goodhue, Crotty, Havali, Tamanavalu and Bridge. So they all mix it up. So you can't just defend against one guy and go, that's where the threat's going to come from, because they all provide a threat. They all will run and they will all create damage. So that's going to be a problem with the Crusaders, is they have an All Blacks pack and then a bunch of guys behind who all can do a really good job. If we look at the Lions, they have been starting slowly. They've given up, 14 points against the Tars. Was it 19 against Hakiwaras, I think it was? And they also gave up a start against the Bulls as well. If they give that kind of start up against the Crusaders in the first 10 to 20 minutes, then that's it. The game's gone, and we might as well just switch off and all go to bed, because The Crusaders are not going to let the Lions get back into this. One of the things the Crusaders did against the Hurricanes is the Hurricanes had scored most of their tries in the previous couple of games from first phase set piece. So what did the Crusaders do? They cut out the number of penalties they gave. They gave 5 penalties all game against the Hurricanes. And then they also dominated the set piece as well. So that's going to be the Lions' problem, is they have a great line-out maul. So if they kick to the corner, they inevitably score. But if you don't get the opportunity to kick to the corner because they're not getting given penalties within range, then you're not going to get your line-out maul tries. So that's going to be a big thing for the Lions, is to realise they're probably not going to get their normal 1 or 2 or 2 plus line-out maul tries in this game. So those points are going to have to come from somewhere else. Now, they did have that wonderful solo try in against the Tars from Dante, and he has been scoring some tries really well, but he had to go off with a hamstring injury. I don't know if he's going to be back for them, but they're going to need all their game breakers. They're going to need Quagga Smith to keep himself on the pitch this time, unlike last season. They're going to need that pack to front up, because they need to try and disrupt Richmond Mo'unga somehow and make sure he doesn't get that armchair ride that All Blacks pack give him. And then also that we know that Elton Yankees can become flustered if he does get closed down. So you can expect Matt Todd, etc., to be having a go at getting a couple of early hits on Yankees. So that means his pack have really got to look after him, give him some front football early doors so he doesn't get flustered, and he keeps it all together. It's difficult to look past the Crusaders. I'm backing the Crusaders probably by about 10. I'm going to go for on this one. You just can't see the Lions tackling was way off during that semi-final as well, and so I just can't see them stopping the Crusaders.
Obviously, I have a bit of a stake in it, being from South Africa, and it's good to see the Lions in there. I'm not going to lie, I thought the Waratahs might actually edge the Lions out, even though I did tip the Lions last week. I thought that there was quite a nice chance that the Waratahs would get through, but Lions prevailed at home, and now they face a completely different beast, and that's the Crusaders in Christchurch. The Crusaders in absolutely blockbuster form. They shocked me last week by blowing the Hurricanes out of the water. Such a star-studded Hurricanes team, which is probably the either second or third best team in the comp if you would put the Lions above the Hurricanes, which a lot of people would. But I definitely rate the Hurricanes a lot, and what the Crusaders did to the Hurricanes last week is very, very commendable, because they just absolutely ripped that team to shreds, and they earned themselves a nice home final. So we have rematch of last year's final, and the home ground advantage is flipped. So Crusaders did quite well last year in this fixture in Johannesburg. They were helped by a red card to Quagga Smith though very early in the match, but they put that game away, and it wasn't much of a contest in the end. So I'm hoping this game will be a lot more of a contest, because we don't want a one-sided final. None of us do. I think even Crusaders fans would like a nice close game, and obviously they would want the Crusaders to win in the end, but I'd like to see a nice game. My tip for this game, I think the Crusaders have just been far too good this season. They've been the trendsetters the whole competition. Everyone's been chasing them from week one, and they've shown it with their position on the ladder, and they're commanding things like points difference still over 300, I think, points difference, and they're just a star-studded team. A lot of All Blacks in their team, a lot of experience. And the Crusaders at home, it's just difficult. They play so well. They play so well there, even though their stadium is far sort of inferior, I suppose you could say. Not a great stadium for a grand final to be in, but the players can walk out in a nice open tunnel to a temporary stadium that they've been using for the last few years. But the Crusaders just far too strong. I think I've got them by 15 in the end, but it has the potential to be far, far more than that if the Crusaders kick into gear and the Lions don't show up. I think Elton Yankees for the Lions will be very crucial. It depends what Yankees you get. I've been criticising Yankees over the last few years, not my favourite player in the slightest, and he just normally doesn't show up to big games. So I do not expect Mr. Yankees to be showing up to the stadium in any sort of form. I think he could be due in for quite a shocker. Hopefully it proves me wrong, though. I'm hoping the Lions win. Obviously, I'd like to see another South African teams win, and I'm sick of New Zealand teams winning. Sorry, Cornflake, but absolutely sick of the Kiwi teams winning, and I'd like to see some variety. But Yankees key, and I think just if you flip it over to Crusaders, Moanga, very key as well. That 10 battle, I think he's definitely going to win that battle, and that's just going to show in the momentum for the two teams which 10 fires in the day. And I think it will be Moanga in the end, and I think either dry or wet, I think the Crusaders will have the advantage. They're suited for both styles of pitch. And yeah, I don't really see the Crusaders slipping up. Hopefully you'll look in back on this video in a week and point out how wrong I was and the Lions actually in fact won. But I think that's a bit far-fetched. So yeah, Crusaders by 15 is my final score.
Okay, last but not least, I'll give my 5 cents worth as to what I think is going to happen here in this big final. I mean, it's the best team in the competition all season long in the Crusaders, isn't it? I mean, chance to go back-to-back is bigger than anything. But the Lions, 3 times finalists. I know we've heard these stats and heard these facts so many times over. People saying 3rd time lucky for the Lions. Others saying doesn't matter who gets to the final, the Crusaders will take them out. So many things going on this game. I don't think it's going to be a tight game. I think really I do agree with most of the sentiments about how the Crusaders play this season. But I think one big factor is going to come into this. That is the home ground advantage. Had this game been in Joburg in South Africa, you've got to say you'd give the Lions a lot bigger chance than you would being in Christchurch. That has got a lot to play with it. I think, talking about the overall match, the players, so we don't know the starting for things exactly, but I do expect that they will be pretty much the same as the semi-finals. There's a few question marks for players like Diante was one, and there's another one for the Lions who I've seen have been cleared to play. So as far as I'm aware, they will be fairly fit to what they had last weekend. As for the Crusaders, Taufua is a guy I know definitely is out for the matchup, but you'd expect the rest of the side to be pretty much as is status quo for the Crusaders. So let's talk about the game here. From my perspective, what we've got to look at, or what I'm looking at, is the fact that what the Lions have to do to beat the Crusaders. The Lions have to play their best game of the season. They need luck. They need Angus Gardner to be on their side, because I don't know about you guys, I've heard a lot of things about how this guy is one of the best refs going around. I can't stand the guy at all. I think he's one of the most erratic, just reactional refs that the competition has seen. He misses some glaringly massive things, makes some terrible, terrible calls. And a game like this, a grand final, can be decided by this sort of thing. I'm interested to know what you think about Gardner as the referee for this game. Do you guys like him? Do you think he's a shocker? Let me know in the comments below. I mean, I'm open to being persuaded otherwise here. Obviously, Sands, I think he is the man for the job. I'm far from convinced. Semi-final referees, I thought, had a fairly okay sort of round, but this is a big one. This is a big dance, isn't it? And this is where the ultimate chokes can come into play. So I'm not overly comfortable with this ref being able to not have a huge say into how this game is decided. But from the Lions' perspective, I guess they have to look at the fact that if they can get him on their side, that is another feather in their cap of possibly doing the big upset. And let's be fair, if the Lions win this is a pretty big upset. As for what they can control, players on the field, Malcolm Marx, Quagga Smith, 2 men who are pretty much the pinnacle of South African rugby at the moment. They are massive. Those guys have to dominate this All Black pack from the Crusaders. The forward pack, as we all know and we always say, is the be all and the end all. It's the start and the finish of a rugby game. If you don't dominate the pack, if you don't dominate the forwards, you're going to really struggle to get anything out of a game. Yes, it's possible, but it's really difficult, especially against a team like the Crusaders, who will throw their weight around in the forwards. So that's somewhere the Lions really have to get the best out of. Those 2 guys, I think, are the elites. They are the best assets that the Lions have to offer. In the back line, there's a lot of talk. The last 2 or 3 seasons now where the Yankees is really the man to lead this Lions team from 10. And you've got to say, unquestionably, he is still one of the better fly halves in South African rugby. The best, probably not. You'd probably have others over him into the Springbok jersey, but he's in the mix. He's definitely in the mix, and you can't just throw a goal like that out, even if he is a bit stuck under pressure, if he doesn't like the pressure game, even if that sort of thing with him, he's still experienced. He still should be a calm enough head to lead the side around. I don't have question marks with him so much, but probably it's the rest of the holes that don't have those dominating South African players. They've still got that young blood. We talked already about Deante as a guy that really has to bring his brilliance, a guy that can spark and control and change the game within a second. He's one that's going to be key to getting on the outsides, and he's got that X factor that can change a matchup. That's the Lions. That's really what they have to look forward to, is the Marks, the Smith, guys around them really building a nice pack and getting at least parity, if not a little bit of dominance over a Crusaders side. That's going to be the toughest task. They need Yankees to have a good game. They need their backs to hum. Like I said at the start, they need everyone to have their best game of the season, and they need a bit of luck. That's what they really need, the Lions. They need the Crusaders to be terrible. But a terrible Crusaders team isn't as bad as a terrible Waratahs or a terrible Highlanders or a terrible Jaguares or a terrible Sunwolves. I mean, that's about much like a good Sunwolves. But in comparison to Crusaders, they don't have a bad day. They have an okay day and they have a really, really good day. If they had these straps, you got to say, very, very few teams can even stick it with them, let alone beat them. They've got so many keys. We've seen in the semi-final, Richie Mo'unga is a guy that can control, that can dominate, that can really dictate and do everything he wants to do in a match if he's on song. That game was massive for him as a player, his future. I mean, how much longer can All Black selectors overlook this guy and say he doesn't have what it takes? The All Blacks are very much going off on a bit of a tangent here, but they are very much a culture team. Does he not fit their culture blend? You'd wonder if it's something like that he doesn't fit in, because form-wise, he's got to be the best 10 in the competition. And it's hard to argue against that when he outplayed Beauden Barrett last week. He's outplayed everyone. He's outplayed McKenzie. He is he's an old school fly half. He gets you territory. He controls the play to his outside backs. He's not the flashy guy that's going to sidestep 17 players and run in under the sticks from 175 metres. That's not going to happen. So much from Mo'unga. But he is key. What's more key than him, and we've already talked about it a little bit, is the pack. The Crusaders pack. That's it. It's the All Blacks pack. Pretty much. So I guess about Tuafua, they have to bring someone else in. But in the core, it's a Crusaders pack, isn't it? So that's what they've got to look at. That's the area they'll say, yep, let's play a Crusaders game. Let's go out there. Let's get dominance up front, grind these guys down, play a territorial game, control the game, control the fixture, and make everything happen for us. Play positive and just dominate the game, the territory, the possession, everything. Shut the Lions out. If they don't get a sniff, then frustration comes in. Then they get more control. Our mark comes along. This is where the Crusaders, a la the All Blacks as well, are so good, because they bring on impact from the bench. And let's be fair, key areas of this Crusaders side are very similar to All Blacks. I mean, scrum half, they've got two guys who aren't All Blacks, in Bryn Hall and Mitchell Drummond, yet they complement each other so well. Both could start, both could come off the bench, and both spark and add and control so very, very well. Bryn Hall has been knocking on the door of getting into that third black jumper. I mean, what he's come up against and what he plays here, comparatively to Tauranga, is the other guy that is number 3 at the moment, hardly even plays. Brad Weber's got his number for the Chiefs up until they got knocked out. So guys like him really are playing out their skin, and it's hard to overlook players from a Crusaders outfit that dominates games like this. So, I mean, so many areas this team can prevail. Fitness of Ryan Crotty is always a big fixture, or a big feature, I should say. And, I mean, Crotty and Goodhue, just defensive rocks, those guys. And it's going to be really hard for the Lions to get anything through that midfield with those two playing if they are starting the matchup. I mean, I could talk about it all day, but long and short, it really comes back to what I said at the start. The Lions are going to have their best game of the season and have a bit of luck, along with the referee on their side, up against the Crusaders, who are going to have a shocker. I mean, I don't even think weather is really going to help the Lions. If it's good weather, you'll probably get more of an even balance between the two sides. Bad weather, we know the Crusaders, they just fall into that shell and they go back to their forward game. They dominate, they accumulate points, and they just play wet with the rugby. Do the Lions have that in their locker? South African teams, not often the ones that like coming into those sort of conditions. So, being that it is still going to be early August, still going to be that frosty cold, you know, the days are slowly getting a bit shorter, but you're going to be pitch black by 7:30, and that is going to be the weather. I mean, a lot of talk after the Crusaders Hurricanes semi-final. They were going to have a repeat of the fog final from many, many years ago, but thankfully that didn't happen. But a fog final maybe in 2018 for the Crusaders and the Lions. I think pretty much most of you guys will know what my thoughts are about this one, and you know who I think is going to win. So I won't talk about it too more. I think I've already talked about most of my key points and things like that. Ultimately, yeah, Crusaders, I think, are going to win. By far the best team in the competition. As I said, travel, massive thing. Over to South Africa, I'd say this one's going to be tight. In New Zealand, though, it is a far, far different instance. So for my grand final pick, I'm going Crusaders by 18. Yeah, I would love to be going Crusaders by 2 or 3. I just don't know if it's going to be as close as we thought. The semi-final was a blowout, and you got to say, that possibly was the final that should have been. The Lions, they're going to have a huge amount of luck go their way, but I'm going Crusaders 18. Maybe call it a bit too heavy, but I've got to make up those SuperBru points. What can I say? I've got to make up those points, but that's my pick, and that is the picks of the guys joining me. As always, a huge thanks to those guys for coming on the channel and having their say.
So thanks a lot for having me, Steve. Obviously, people can catch hold of me at DrivingMaul on YouTube, Twitter, etc. And always up for good old rugby chat.
As always, thank you so much to you guys for joining me on the preview show throughout the season. Way back in round 1, way back when we previewed the squads. What was that? Late February, early March? I don't even remember. It was so long ago. But thank you to everyone for your views, your thoughts, your opinions, and just tuning in and watching the channel. And being subscribed if you are, thank you very much. If you're not, what are you doing? Hit that button. All the likes that people have left, all the comments as well. Just everything throughout the whole season of Super Rugby. Thank you all very, very so much. And we'll be seeing you all for hopefully some more international rugby coming up in, well, not too many weeks' time. As well as Mighty 10 Cup. Let's ship that in right at the end. SuperBru, Mighty 10 Cup. Internationals Rugby Championship as well. We'll be looking to start a league for those. So, if you're already in my league, you can be sure that you'll get an invite via email. Otherwise, you can check out, should have some links in videos coming up very, very soon as well for those SuperBru leagues. But until next time, thank you all for tuning in and watching throughout the season of Super Rugby. You guys are well and truly the best. It is much fun to make these videos, so I hope you enjoy watching them as well. But until then, thanks for watching, as always, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.